Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show today. Now, we have here a panel of other podcast hosts like myself and also the star of a hit movie that we're going to be reviewing called The Mobking. And it stars Ciro Dapagio. Now, he has actually been a guest, I think, on about everybody's show here so far. So if you've been following our shows, you know a little bit about his story. But he was able to give us a look at the rough cut of this movie. And all of us, viewed it separately. And the point of this show today is kind of give our opinions on it and, tell everybody what we liked about it. Even if there's things we didn't like about it, Ciro's been very open and honest about he wants our honest opinion. Don't tell him what he thinks he wants to hear. He wants to hear the truth. And so that's what we're doing here today. And I'm going to introduce everybody from the top around. We'll start with Adrian how you doing, Adrian?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good. Tell everybody who you are and what your channel is.
Okay, my show is Invest in Yourself. I've done interviews with Stags, Hollywood Wade, William Steele, so I got a lot of mob content, so that's why I definitely relate to this movie, Mobking. So, if you want to check me out, I'll put a link in the description. Thanks.
Absolutely. Scotty, introduce yourself, my friend.
Scotty Stutch from Pennsylvania, outside of Philly. Just have my show, The Sober Sit Down. That's more of a recovery base to inspire people to, give people that remarkable rebound story, whether it's, alcohol related, substance related, losing a business and bouncing back, losing your wife and bouncing back, remarkable rebound stories. Then I have a separate segment with Larry Mazza called The Life 101, which Ciro was our first guest. Thank you, Ciro, for that. And that's more of a, not to sound like toxic masculinity, but more of like the official guys show. It's like mob content, sports content, movie content, just a little bit of everything, but it's a little bit of a spin-off from the Sober Sit Down. So, it's that's what I got. And I'll also send my link to have attached underneath. And thank you guys for having me on tonight.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Now, next we got William Steele. William, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm all right, Chip. Okay, so I'm William Steele. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I did over 18 years in prison. Before that, I was a cocaine and gun trafficker, and I was a professional jewel and art thief, and I was pretty notorious in what I did. I did a lot of time, changed my life in prison. I took a lot of college courses, became a law clerk, and I realized I wanted to get out and help people and really use my experiences to help people. And just before my release, I was offered a TV show with A&E Network and Sharp Entertainment called Inmate to Roommate. It now airs every Thursday night at 10 o'clock, and it's one of the top reality shows in the country right now. I have fans is like blowing up. We love Bill, and I'm really humbled, and I want to just use my platform now. I know I have an obligation to talk about transformed lives and guys that are trying to turn it around. And you guys have all been mentors to me in one way or the other, man. I appreciate every one of you guys that have helped me with this technology and everything, along with my girl, Mary. So it's nice to meet you guys again here. And that's the quick version of my story. I'm glad to be here.
All right. My man, Stacks.
What's up, man? I'm Bill Stacks. I got a show called Chatting with Stacks where I interview different people from all walks of life, organized crime and gang members and all kinds of people, cops and everything. And I'm just here to do a review on the Mobking, and I've been fortunate enough to be a part of it as it's been being filmed, giving me shout outs from locations. It's been awesome, man. I can't wait to see the end result of this show.
Absolutely. And my name is Hollywood Wade. I run the Crime and Entertainment podcast, and a lot of like what some of these guys have explained. I've interviewed a lot of ex-mob guys, even ex-cops. I like to get the flip side of it. You have the criminal side, then you have the part of this always trying to combat that with the law enforcement. So we've had a lot of ATF guys, FBI guys, and some actors and singers and writers and different things. So a lot of great content over there. I'll put a link for my show, Crime and Entertainment, there as well. And last but certainly not least, the reason why we're here today, this was your baby. This was your dream. And, man, you have brought it to fruition, Ciro Dapagio. How does this make you feel right now that this is all coming together and we're only a short time away?
Well, I mean, it feels good, obviously. been a long road. It's not an easy thing to do. And then, of course, COVID, for 2 years just wreaked havoc on anybody who wanted to do anything. And but it's done, and we're going to do the world premiere at the American Film Market, which is the largest place in the world where people actually come to purchase, product content, whether it be TV series, scripts that aren't even filmed yet, whatever the case may be. It's the largest place in the world where you want to bring your stuff, and we're actually doing the world premiere there November 3rd at 3:30 at the AMC theaters, and we'll be there all week as a major force to be reckoned with over there at AFM. So I feel good about it. I got this idea with you guys because, there's a lot of podcast guys, a lot of people who have reached out to me to do things or whatever. And I was thinking about, who I believe would be able to fully appreciate what kind of opportunity we have here, where it's like, okay, I'm about to go do this, and I'm going to send these guys the rough cut, because as you know, the sound wasn't mixed, the color, which is very important, has to match everything and all that. It's not done. So I'm like, I'm going to send it to these select guys, and I appreciate all of you taking the time out to watch it. And, I haven't heard your reviews yet. It's going to be a surprise to me. And, and whatever it is, I asked for an honest opinion. So, it'll be what it is. But, it just feels good. I feel good for everybody who's involved in the project, for people who were counting on me to come through with it, because look, we all know there's so many people who say they're going to do this and going to do that. And, let's face it, there's an ocean of mediocrity out there, and then there's an ocean of people who never do what they say they're going to do. So just that alone, the fact that people who were, thinking and pushing and supporting me and this project, to be able to see it come to the big screen and come to light and get the kind of hype that it's getting from, the trailers release and the anticipation for everybody to see it and the stars that we have in it. It's just great, man. It's great. It's not about me anymore at this point. It's about hopefully it taking on a whole life for itself, and then everybody else can be lifted up because of it, because that's what I'm all about. I could give a shit less about myself. I want to see it help everybody else prosper that's counted on me, so that's where I'm at with that.
All right. Now, Adrian, you actually have the trailer for this film queued up, so we can kind of give the audience a look at the film we reviewed.
Yeah. Stacks actually does. So Stacks, whenever you're ready, go ahead and play it.
You made an oath. You know what that means.
Mike does his time, stays loyal, and all those years away from his family. Laid on the sword to protect the bank for what? So that when we need real protection, it's all blank stares?
All we got right now is us.
Are we on our own?
Why won't you die?
There's a very powerful man out there who thinks he's a threat and would do anything to get rid of him.
The old Dons would never let a violation like this go unpunished.
You didn't break the rules, Mike. He did.
You really think he's gonna keep looking for you after this? I mean, think about it. If you're done and gone, then you're not a threat anymore, so what's the point?
We live by it. We work by it. Not anything or anyone can break it.
The casino was never yours to begin with! Get that into your head!
This shit just went from bad to worse.
Well, I think from that, man, the first thing you got to look at is obviously, for people that aren't familiar with this genre, faces like Ciro might be a little unfamiliar because he's new to the game, but you've got a lot of veterans in there. You know, just to name off a few, you got James Russo playing the Don, who's been in, you know, tons of movies, Django, Donnie Brasco, Robert Lasarda in there you've seen in the prison scenes. You know, he was in Mule, Nip Tuck, CSI Miami, Antonio Corona. I mean, you know, he was in Oz, We Own the Night, a ton of stuff. Ciro, I'll kind of start with you and then I'll work around and get everybody's opinion on it. How did you go about, you know, casting all of these guys? Did you have someone to help you with the casting, or was it kind of, you know, did you have in mind who you wanted for these roles?
Yeah, I actually cast everything myself. You know, I'm pretty I'm the type of guy pretty likes to handle stuff to make sure it's done the way that I want. You know, once I zero in on the person that I like with my writers, who are my main writers team is Jokes Yanes, who's the director. He's an Emmy Award winner. James Bishop and Christy Trebatis. Those are my writers. So first, you know, I had the concept of what it's going to be. I didn't want your regular stereotypical mob, you know, show where, hey, you better get my money, you know, that type of thing. So once I developed the cast and who I was going to have, then we pretty much crafted the roles around what their abilities were. Like I knew what I could get from Mike Villar, who's been in the Oscar-winning film Skin. I knew what I could get from James Russo because me and him are very good friends, and he worked with me on Silent Partners, my other mob show that's going to be a series. Robert Lasardo, you know, you can get from him. Anthony Corona is the person who launched my career. So, you know, excellent performance by my nemesis in there, Bruce Sosha. You know, so I cast him, and then we basically write the parts around their characters, who they are as people, so that it's not only their acting ability, but it's even heightened and highlighted even more in their performances because it's basically them. You know, so that's what we tried to do, and I think we pulled it off really well. And of course, my co-stars, Elizabetta Fantone, who plays my wife, Celine Alva, who plays my daughter. You know, I think we have excellent chemistry as a family unit. And, you know, so, and of course, my partner in there, Anthony Caliendo, who, funny enough, when we first started out and started talking about where he was going to help me get this movie done, you know, it was a simple part, you know, and in the middle of the movie, he would have had just this one scene, but he was so good that we wrote more parts for him, added him into more places, and then he became a central figure within the show. So that was a real pleasant surprise, and I'm really glad that was able to take place. So yeah, I'm very happy about it. You know, we have Artie Pasquale also, who played in The Sopranos. We have Oksana Lotto, who played in The Sopranos. Those are really big names. Stelio Savante, who's in a whole bunch of stuff. He's a tremendous actor, and you know, just a really great cast. Paul Borghese from The Irishman, and you know, so many movies. It's hard to even name them all. You know, so these guys are really good. We do a flashback scene with a young Mike White by Hawk Mazenbach. He's really, really great as my younger version of myself. It just came together, you know, basically anything that could have went wrong on this film, and we had a lot of obstacles that could have went wrong, plan B worked out even better than plan A. And as you guys probably can attest in your reviews or whatnot, the you know, the sets, you know, I'm a firm believer in doing things outside where you get the feel of Miami. I wanted that whole grandeur of Miami, the, you know, the opulence of it, the sexy appeal of it, you know, the just the real side of it where it's, you know, just great fancy things, yachts, big houses, you know, what you think you would see in Miami, because it's a different, you know, it's a different landscape when it comes to organized crime than up north. You know, it was an open area, still is the whole time in its existence. So people operated here, and you had to deal differently. Like in New York, families would have to deal with each other basically, or maybe the Westies or something. You know, but in Florida, you had to deal with everybody from Cubans to Haitians to Puerto Ricans to gangs to, you know, even like people in the Opa-locka and the Golden Triangle, and there was a group of guys in the 90s that were just out of control, over there. So those type of individuals didn't hold the same type of respect. Like, you could be in New York and be like, oh, that guy's connected. Okay, y'all want to stay away from him. In Miami, it wasn't like that. Those groups didn't care, the Zoes, the people like that. They didn't care about none of that stuff. It's like, hey, if you get in our way, you better be ready to go to war with us too. So it's an interesting place, and I think we captured the feel of it and the vibe of it, and and I'm interested to see what you guys come up with.
Adrian, what was your take on the casting?
I thought it was pretty well, and how Ciro even had, like, how he talked about, he had his wife and his daughter, in this movie. I thought he had a really good role in being that protective father, coming out of lockup and stuff, as you guys seen in the trailer. It's just it's something that you would really see when, or it just seems so natural. You know what I mean? Like, say, I'm not trying to give. It's hard not to give away the story.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to, but I feel like everybody in the movie, was really, really good and professional. And the mob guys are even different. They're not, they don't have the heavy accents and stuff like that. So I like that. Because, like he said, Miami's, Florida, it's different. So it was more open area, like Ciro said. So there's all kinds of different people, and you did capture that very well. The big houses, and everything like that. So I thought it was really well. The casting and the environment that everybody played.
Excellent.
Scotty, how'd you like the casting, my friend?
I thought it was great. Like you said, a lot of veterans, some amateurs. I use the word amateur like lightly. I don't mean to say amateur, but like you said, not famous faces to the screen. It's a nice mix. Everything flowed very naturally. It was like you were just watching something unfold in front of your eyes. It was not overacting, not underacting. It was just right where it needed to be. I felt everybody did a fantastic job. Everybody played their part well. It was one of those things where I watched the movie about 2 or 3 times to make sure I got the full effect, and definitely one of those things where you got to you're watching a movie on Netflix or something, and you get up, you have to use the bathroom really quick. This is one of those movies that you're gonna want to replay where you left off, because you're like, wait a minute, I got to see what I just missed. It's got you on the whole build up suspense, how everybody worked together, and the chemistry that was built off of the actors, I just think was very suspenseful, and it just flowed naturally. It was like you were in the movie if you like, it sucked you in.
It's funny that, excuse me, it's funny that you say that, Scotty, because Anthony would always, his thing is that when we first started putting it all together, he's like, I want you to make a movie where people don't even want to get up to go take a piss. You just mentioned that. So
I'm guilty as charged. The first time I watched it.
So I think I'm going to be okay with him finding out that I did this behind his back.
I'm guilty as charged. The first time I got up, I had to use the bathroom, and I was like, I got to replay and see what I just missed, because it was too good. I didn't want to get up, but it just, it happens, Yeah. But I just thought everybody did a fantastic job. It was, like I said, not overacting, not underacting. It was right where it needed to be. And it just was a natural flow. Great chemistry, and great hats off to you on that, Ciro, for that roster you put together. That great combination.
Thank you. I appreciate it. They were great.
William Steele, what's your thoughts on the cast, my friend?
My thoughts are was phenomenal. I've missed so many movies. You guys know I just did 18 years.
Well, that's kind of why this is an important question for you, because you can't even really base off, maybe what some of these guys have done in the past. You've got to go off what you've just seen from this movie. So to you, I mean, some of these guys may be unknowns to you, even though they have done stuff, because you've been, away for a little bit. So how does that sit? I'm real curious to hear your opinion on that.
Exactly. I believe the acting was phenomenal. Listen, I'm in the Midwest. I'm from New York, but I'm in the Midwest filming my reality show. And so I just was in Miami about a month ago. I was there first time in almost, 20 years, South Beach and Boca. And I know what he's talking about, the opulent and the Las Olas and all the beautiful homes on the bay, So that was where I was real active doing burglaries. I was killing it, and it just captured it so well. There was so many changes. Like we got off I-95 and all these new buildings had gone up. And I was like, wow, man, Miami's better than ever, And now, like, A1A down in Miami, South Beach only runs south. Before I went to prison, it was two-way street, So all these changes, but I just sort of captured the feel, man, the grittiness of Miami, even the humidity of Miami, when things were happening, and the humidity and you're sweating and whatever. And I think you captured it really well. Your casting was great. And I agree that this thing happened way too fast. The movie should have been longer, but I loved it because I was literally like, holy crap, it's over. And so I say that, to really be honest with you, and that I really feel this is ripe for a sequel and you haven't even released it yet. I literally, when it was over, I was like, is it over? I was like, wanting more. So well done, Ciro. Well done.
I'm going to tell you, the sweet spot, as they say in the movie industry, is an hour and a half, 90.
Yeah, I know.
So that's where it's at now. We did a test screening, okay, back in March. Maybe some of you will remember. None of you seen it, but we did a test screening with 200 random people, and it went over really well. But it was long. One of the things that we heard back was the pace of it was a little long, but more importantly, when you're trying to put stuff together for a big budget film, well, in my mind, it's a big budget film. In Hollywood's mind, it's not, right? But when someone else is paying the bill, obviously, and their thing as a filmmaker that I wanted to see more on the film, that when it finally came on the screen for the test screening, like Anthony, my partner, he understood now what I was trying to get across when I said we needed these particular elements. And those elements were the backstories of the guys that were involved. So we brought in James Russo again for some more additional scenes, which was very important in the movie. We brought in Bruce Sosha again and Artie Pasquale again, and we filmed some additional mob side of it so that you guys watching as viewers understood why there was some animosity between the Nemesis and Mike White, and the dynamic between the boss and his son. So I think it really changed the movie. And the fact that you said, I think it went too fast, is music to my ears, because
it was great.
That's what you want. You want a movie where it's 90 minutes and it's like, you're like, whoa, man, I want to see more. Like, you don't want Casino to end. You don't want Goodfellas to end, So some movies you're like, Jesus Christ, is this thing ever going to end?
Whoever made that final call said the right thing, man.
So I appreciate that. I'm liking what I'm hearing, man. This is good stuff.
Absolutely. Hey, can I add just one other thing? One of the other aspects I'd like to say is, I know you had a checkered past, and I really admire you for, getting it together, man, and doing these movies to open the public's eyes and people's eyes to what the lifestyle is like and how it can keep dragging you back in.
Yeah.
Whether you want it to or not, sometimes, it's hard to pull away. And so without giving away any trailers, that was so much of that element, and how, doing so much time. And this is in one of your press release things, so I'm not giving away anything. No. But it's you trying to reconnect with family, and you're not there for your daughter and the things she's gone through and experienced, and you have to deal with it when you get out. It's like exactly on point. You're not there to I can relate. You're not there to protect the people that make the most of you, and then you have to deal with it.
I'll touch on that for you for a second, on that whole thing there. A lot of people think that when people go to prison, look, let's face it, the majority of people in prison deserve to be there. Yep. The pedophiles, the sex offenders, the murderers, stuff like that, people who do vile things in society. But there is also a segment of guys that don't belong there for that amount of time, or, whatever the case may be, So when they pay their debt to society, they should be able to come out and be able to start fresh. Like, we could go on all day about how it's rigged against us and why people would go back to crime. I mean, this is a country where everybody carries guns, but they're going to tell felons you can't carry guns. So we're supposed to be, because we're an ex-felon, someone breaks in our house, we just get shot because we can't defend ourselves because we're an ex-felon. I mean, it's just a whole list of things like that. For example, when I got out, obviously you guys know, most of you have been locked up at some point, and you get out and you're on supervised release or probation or something like that, and you got to get a job. People don't want to give you jobs. You know what I mean? So you end up working at some place that's you know, either a phone room or some fast food joint or whatever, you know. I mean, my supervisor at least wouldn't even let me drive Uber, you know what I mean? So it's like when you get down to it, you do all this time and then you get out and you're like lost. It's like, what the hell am I going to do in my life, you know? And so it's like you start looking for how to come up, you know, doing the one thing you know how to do. Okay, if I can't get a job and I can't feed my family and I can't do this, and somebody comes along with a lick, you're going to be like, fuck it, man, I'm doing the lick. So, you know, my main thing that was driving me the whole time was, how can I get myself back to the lifestyle that I had without putting myself in the same position of looking over my shoulder every day, knowing the shoe's going to drop, because the shoe always drops. There's no such thing as successful criminal anymore, right? So that's what I'm pleased most about, because if I can inspire people just like you're inspiring people and you're inspiring people, all of you guys are inspiring people. If we can inspire people to say, yo, man, start your own thing and do your own thing and make your own way. Screw what the people think. Screw what the society thinks about criminals. Screw that, because if we could show them, hey, man, we're just as good as everybody else, just because we did time. That's one of the things that cracks me up the most about people who say, oh, they're an ex-con, they're a felon, they're this. You know, people are one drink away from being a felon. You know what I mean? How many people do we see in the restaurants? You know, the high fluters, right? They're there drinking their wine, you know, the doctor, the lawyer, the judge, the whoever, and they get in their car and drive. But what people don't realize is they could be sitting at a red light, that judge who just drank 2 glasses of wine and is perfectly fine. He's sitting at a red light. Somebody runs in the back of him, all right? And then his car, say, runs over somebody, God forbid. He'll get charged with DUI, even though he didn't cause the crime. He'll get charged with DUI, manslaughter, or whatever the case may be, and be in prison because of it. So people who point the you know, hypocritical finger, oh, they're no good, they're no good, they're no good. They don't realize how close in society they are to being part of that they're no good club. So anyway, back to the movies, man. I'm sorry about that.
No, that's an excellent point on that, by the way, though. Stacks, what did you think about the casting, my friend?
I thought it was great, man. Bruce Socia did a great job, and Katrina Michio, that was Bruce's girlfriend in the movie. The movie was real relatable because getting out of prison, you know, I think a lot of people will be able to relate to this movie, and it was incredible, man. I didn't want to stop watching it.
Yeah,
I wanted to keep going. You know what I mean? I'm like, damn, man, it's over.
Well, I think that's the mark of a good film, is when it's put together right. You're not like, you know, Ciro spoke, you're not checking your watch or stopping it and going to make a sandwich or say, oh, I'll come back and, you know, I'll finish it later. You know, you want it when it draws you in, it keeps you there. And I think Adrian spoke first and then Scotty about the pacing of the movie. To me, the pacing was just right. You didn't spend extra time on one area. You know, you had your points to make in this part in the prison scenes, then you know, coming home to the family, and then the progression was just really natural. It didn't hang around to the point to where something kind of got overbeaten. And then, you know, I'll go into a little bit more on the cast, man. These guys were awesome, and everybody played their own parts. I mean, some guys, you know, are only in for certain areas, like some guys maybe only in during the, you know, the scenes where it's in prison, but, you know, their impacts are lasting because they, like you said, you casted people that I think really fit these roles very well. And that's something that can turn a viewer off of a movie really quick, is if they're watching somebody playing a role that they can envision, you know. I mean, sometimes it can be pulled off. You know, you never really thought of Robin Williams as playing like some kind of psychotic killer, but I know he done a movie one time called 1 Hour Photo, where he was just like this crazy guy that was stalking people, and he pulled it off well, but you would have never thought that. Right. So that's a dangerous area to try to get into, but you cast these guys great, and I thought it was very well done. You know, obviously James Russo, what he brings to the table, you and him have some, you know, climactic scenes in there, as well as Bruce, who Stacks was just talking about, and he's a phenomenal actor too, man. He's blowing up in Gravesend, and I really enjoyed that movie. He done The Cleaner with Adrian Brody. So I think not only is this going to help launch yourself, Ciro, but I think this movie is going to help launch. I mean, some of these other guys are already very well established, but some of these new people in there, I think it's going to help launch them as well.
I agree. Yeah, I gotta you know, I got to tip my hat to my to the family unit, the dynamic, the Elisabetta Fantone who plays my wife, Colleen Alva who plays my daughter. I mean, they really pushed the story. You know, so they did fantastic. Their ability to, you know, organically portray that family unit and make it believable. You know, Scorsese said something that always stuck in my mind. The reason why he uses the same people over and over again is because he knows what he can get from them. But more importantly, he said, it's very hard to make a person believable as a wise guy. You know, so when I started thinking about that, I mean, if you think about it, it's like, okay, I mean, he did The Irishman, and in some parts it looked comical, at least to me, where they did a couple of shots and you could see that they're trying to make um, not Pacino, De Niro,
De Niro
look younger. Like specifically when he's sitting in the truck, he's supposed to be like 30 years younger, but the lighting catches the makeup and you see it like caked on his face. You know what I mean? So it's like, but he's willing to sacrifice that because he knows that these guys are the only guys that can pull off that where it makes it believable, you know, because people are used to seeing him as a gangster. So, you know, I had to keep that in mind because, you know, you had to believe that Bruce's Bruce Socha's character, Carlo Sasso, you had to believe in him being the gangster. You had to believe in him wanting to take this guy out and why, you know, and you had to believe Russo, obviously, who's easy to believe. And so you're right. These people in their particular points, it was very important for me to have the organic authenticity of it. And I'm glad that I'm hearing what I'm hearing from you guys. So it makes me feel really good about the job accomplished.
now, and one of the other things too I want to mention is I think this is where you can get a little bit deeper into it from the average movie watcher to someone just watches a film to someone that really dissects it. And Scotty may mention that earlier. You know, I'm not like everybody else. I'll watch a film and then I'll go back and I'll watch it a couple more times if it's something that I'm really into. And I'll kind of, you know, follow pacing a little more, follow storylines a little more. And I'll try to find like plot holes or, you know, stuff that doesn't make sense. It's just something that I do. And in doing that, I pay a lot of attention to cameras and camera views, camera angles. And you guys done a great job with point of view shots, you know, from, you know, intruders in certain scenes. You done great drone work. I'm assuming those are drones that you guys had out there doing some of the films. And that's just like that extra mile where a shot with you in a car riding, looking out the window was cinematic for sure. But then you go that extra mile and you get the drone footage on top. And then, you know, I thought the cameras, the use of you guys' cameras was really good. The cinematography I thought was on point. And those are just kind of things that adds that flair. And like you said, we didn't even see the finished product. So it could be, you know, more to come. But going off what I've seen, I love the use of the camera angles because camera angles are huge. You know, people talk, you know, mentioned well, Goodfellas and Marty Scorsese, you know, that walk scene where they go through the bottom of the Copa, that was one whole shot. They never cut that. I don't know if that had even ever been done at that time, that one continuous shot through that whole bottom of the Copacabana until they got to that table. So the right kind of camera scenes can really help build momentum and amongst other things. Adrian, what was your opinion on, you know, the camera work and stuff like that?
I thought it was really great, you know, especially, you know, not to give away things again, you know, but there's certain scenes, you know, where there's blood, I'll say, and, you know, and blood splattering on, you know, the person that it got, you know, the person that was doing the damage, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
when you see it, you know, I mean, even like the gunshot blast, you see the blood, you know, splatter onto the person that was doing it, and you know, and it's like going on their face and stuff, and then you know when they're going to clean up, you know, different stuff, you know, to get rid of evidence and stuff like that. I mean, you can, I mean, just like it's on their clothes and stuff as well, still. So, you know, I thought that was a good way that they did that and how they captured that. You know, those little parts, you know, just because you know it makes it more real. So I thought, you know, how they went about with doing scenes like that. I thought it was great on that part, Ciro.
Well, thank you. And you guys know from watching the film that I spend a great amount of time in this film covered in blood.
That's what I'm saying.
Or in pain. So that's the continuity aspect of it. And thankfully, you know, I have a good memory when it comes to that kind of stuff. But as far as the camera angles and stuff, is my director, Jokes Yanez. So we got to give him his props because he's phenomenal, and he works with me on everything. Again, he's the Emmy Award winner. He's my partner and stuff, making films. And the cinematography is Stephen Brevig, you know, so I want to make sure everybody knows that name because he's going to blow up on this too because the cinematography is great. I wanted to, you know, I used him because I told him I want to capture a feel where if you're watching this movie that you automatically, you know, let's say, for example, the thing I told him was like, yo, if you're on your couch and you're flipping through the channels and you catch Goodfellas, you stop. I don't care how many times you've seen it, you stop. And you probably end up watching the rest of the movie. But it's the cinematography that catches your eye where it's like, oh, wait, that looked cool. And then you see, oh, it's Goodfellas, or it's Casino, or it's Bronx Tale, or it's any other movie that has the great cinematography. So I wanted to capture that immersive, you know, kind of dark feel to it, you know, and where you could get submersed into the action and what's going on and live vicariously through the footsteps of the characters. So I appreciate that, Adrian. Thank you.
Yeah, good work on that, man.
Thank you.
Scotty, what was your takeaway from some of the cinematography and any other things that really kind of jumped off the page with you about the film?
Well, you know, I'm over here biting my lip. I'm sorry. You know, I got to call it like I see it. You know, I got to piggyback off what Ciro was saying earlier about, you know, the Irishman. Like, they should have never had 70-year-old De Niro stomping somebody outside of a grocery store acting like he was 40 because I don't think his foot was putting out a mosquito.
Yeah.
It was just bad. That's one thing that did stick out to me is, and I'm not going to give away too much, is the action scenes. You know, I think they were very well played out. It wasn't overacting, wasn't underacting. But the big thing about, if you want to talk about, you know, camera angles and cinematography, and I give you a lot of props for this one, Ciro, is when certain points of the movie were taking place and certain, how do I want to say it? Like Adrian said, it's hard to say things without
I
giving
understand.
it.
Take your time, man. Just pick the right words. You know, I don't want you to give anything away either. But
So it's like when you're put in a situation in the movie, when the certain facial expressions you make, the certain the certain looks you give, that really put yourself in the character, and the camera angles that took that was you know, like you were acting, or your actions were based on, you know, your actions were based on your facial expressions. Like, you knew, like, all right, it's gonna go down, you know, like, or, oh, that guy, you know, he's gonna go after that, like, you know, your face, the way you're, like, it was really good acting is what I'm saying, you know. And you can tell, like, nonverbals pretty much is what I'm getting at with the camera angles and stuff. You really can tell which, like, it was unpredictable, but you can tell, like, the passion that was behind it.
oh, cool. So you guys had things that you may have thought was going to occur, and then it surprised you that something else happened.
Yes, most definitely.
Right to the end.
How many times did that happen? Because I know that, you know, when we wrote the script, we have 3 or 4 different, you know, instances in the film where we wanted to lead the viewer into thinking something was going to occur, and then something else didn't, and it was more gratifying what did happen. What do you
know? 3 right off the top of my head times it happened.
Same here. 3.
How do you feel about that?
It did. It changed a lot, man. You were expecting something to happen, and it would just be like, what? It was totally different. Totally different.
I think the ending was the biggest turnaround. You're like, wow, I didn't see that coming. You know what I mean? And then it left you. It was really something.
And I'll tell you what's funny about that ending is that I actually wrote that part when we were 3/4 away through the movie, because I wasn't in the movie. So you know, I called up my partner. I go, hey man, I'm gonna do this in the film, and he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah. And then I called the director. I said, hey, I want to do this. And then the actors that are actually portraying that end scene had no clue that was going to occur when they showed up on set. You're like, oh man, it's gonna happen, you know. But yeah,
it makes
that's part of filmmaking, you know. At least the way I like to make films is that, you know, based on how things are flowing and how things were going, you know, the ideas just keep coming to me and coming to whatever, and then that's how it changed, you know. So I'm glad that it went over well, and that you guys felt it the way I seen it in my head, the same way I felt that my director was able to capture it on screen on how we put it together. So it's very nice to be hearing these things. I appreciate the honest reviews, and I'm more than happy that it's hitting the points, because part of making a mob themed movie or an organized crime movie or a jailhouse movie is people don't get the beats right, you know? And what I mean by beats is the flow of it, like how it's moving. Scorsese, what makes him so damn good at what he does is he gets the beats right. So he can have 70-year-old men that, you know, it's ridiculous that the guy's stomping a guy on a sidewalk, but the beats are so good that it's still like, okay, I'll run with that, even though I didn't buy that particular aspect of it. But because everything else is so good, so they have when you do it right, it has the ability to bring you into the entire universe of that particular things that are happening, you know. And when you capture that, that's when you get some magic, which is what I'm hoping we've captured here, is some magic. And from the sounds of it, it looks like we have, and that's what we're getting the feedback on from a lot of people. So again, I really appreciate you guys taking the time out to watch this and stuff like that. So Bill, you were going to have the two Bills, William and Sax. I wanted to hear your opinions on the camera work and stuff like that as well. So
I think the camera work was phenomenal. I also noticed the drone scene was really well done. I loved when the main character, Mike White, played by yourself, phenomenally, was in a place where he was just kind of paying attention to what was going on somewhere else and was hearing things he didn't want to see, and he was having to, you know, deal with it or just stay there and let it get worse. And those camera angles during that period, you know, with the thing, it was just really, really, really well done. And I'll say this, I know that only somebody with your background, right? Because we've been in and out of criminal lifestyles, because you and I, guys who have done time and really been involved with a lot of criminality, can see movies about crime and say, that's, you know, that's full of crap, man. It would never go down like that. Or that's, you know, people aren't talking that freely or being that careless. And so I can see how you kept it real to real life events that may have played out one way or another in your life or among people you know. So only guys who lived it can really pull it off the way you did. So I give you a lot of props for that.
It's great that you say that, because, like, for example, you guys know there's a lot of action fight scenes here, right? So I felt that it was imperative. And another plug for the guy that controlled those fight scenes was Juan Bofield. He was the stunt coordinator. He's a very well-known guy. Did a great job with me and Bruce Sosha, and his brother is actually in one of the other fight scenes. But I think that you guys haven't touched on the fight scenes, but I wanted it to be authentic, because, like you say, how many times do you watch a movie and the guy's all of a sudden Jackie Chan or somebody? You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm thinking, how are you going to have street guys and guys that, you know, are not going to be able to do backflips and stuff? You know what I mean? How do you all of a sudden have them start looking like superheroes when they get in a fight? So I wanted the fights to be like, if you were seeing this fight, this is how the fight would happen, and have it be believable. And I think we did that. You know what I mean? So I think that's gonna be a really good aspect of the film as well. You know,
even more than that, the prison scene was just like phenomenal. I felt like I was back there in time.
Yeah.
How things are discussed, and you know, and I'm not going to give away trailers, but the acting was phenomenal, and I could see that you've been there, done that, related to that, and it just comes out way better when you've been through it. So your vision, always stick to your vision, Ciro, man. Like I said, I give you a lot of props.
Thank you.
Stan, what do you think about it?
A lot of the shots were great, man. The detail, the attention to detail was on point, and the acting, it was like real natural. Like the whole family aspect of it, the fighting scenes, it didn't look like it was forced. You know what I mean? How sometimes when there's a fighting scene, you could tell like they're trying too hard. It really looked like you guys really fighting, man.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%, Bill. The fight with him and Bruce, it was how I would expect a fight between them two to go. You know, you're not doing, like he said, a bunch of kung fu and kicking. It's just two big dudes just going at it, tearing up the place, breaking furniture, moving couches, smashing tables. I mean, it's how I would expect a fight like that to go. And those are things as a viewer, you know, that you want to see. You don't want to see it over the top. There's that sweet spot, much like you said, you know, runtime for a movie. There's a sweet spot because you can go too overboard with it when it comes to fight scenes or violence. You know, there is a such thing as going overboard with that as well. But then you don't want to do too little of it. There is that sweet spot, and you guys found it perfectly in doing this with the fight scenes that you had in the movie. And Sarah, how did you enjoy working with Bruce? Did anybody get out of hand? Did anybody get any real bumps and bruises?
Man, I was sore for a week, man. You know, and I had actually chipped a tooth. I had to get my tooth fixed. You know, I mean, it was a mess, man. But you know, we you know, look, you got two guys that, you know, when you're doing a fight scene, we did it all in one day. You know, this isn't a big budget thing where we could practice for 3 weeks and then, you know, take a week to get every shot right. You know, we only had a certain, like the bottle that I smashed, you know, we only had one bottle. So you either get it right or you don't. The bottle's not the way, you know. So it was just magic. Like I said, everything that could go wrong didn't. It went right, you know. So I feel like that the movie hits the sweet spots of everything that's going to be able to be what everybody was hoping it would be. And, you know, maybe even take a few of the haters and be like, yeah, I shouldn't have been hating. This is the real good thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the whole aspect, you know?
Well, and that's something that I'll touch on too. I followed you for quite a while. Back when you put out the first, when this was expected to be a TV show, what, 5-6 years ago? I mean, a long time. And you had the mini episodes.
Yeah, the web series.
Yeah, I've been following this for quite a long time, and just to see the steps that it's took, you know, if anybody knows anything about this business, nothing happens overnight.
Yeah.
You know, usually an idea to film, you would probably say, is about a 5 or 6 year gap. But the thing is, you didn't start out doing this Mobking film. You know, it was going to be a TV show. You spent some time over in Spain, had some, you know, ups and downs over there with your health. Luckily you come back, but then you decided to put this together for a movie. And I think by and large, man, you've done a fantastic job. You know, here's where it's time to get real. We want to ask everybody on this panel, you know, is there anything that you would change? Is there anything as a viewer of mob films? I think we can all agree we like mob films. Is there anything you would have want added or changed? As again, you know, be careful not to give away too much, but just, you know, anything you would have liked added, you know, more backstory, more violence here, less violence here. Adrian, we'll start with you.
I would say if I were to have him add anything, I would think, you know, maybe I don't know, maybe more interactions with different gangs, you know, just I don't know, you know, see more. I don't know, just I don't really know. I like the movie, you know what I mean?
See,
but
that's good, because, you know, if you're trying to hypothetically see what else you would create in something, you did something well, you know.
No,
and of course, you got to keep in mind that this is his first night home. It begins with his first night home, and it goes over the first 90 days of him being out. So in doing the movie like that, there wasn't really much room for us to create other things. We let you know that there's cops going to be around. We let you know that this is going to be around, who the players are, but you had to be immersed in the fact that this guy comes home, all of these things happening, all of these next events take place, and this is how it accumulates. And now you're left at the end of the movie, what's going to happen now? That's the whole key of making a movie, you know. It's like, do you want to see part 2, you know? And in the end, that's what matters, you know. Did it give you a good feeling where you're like, yeah, that thing did its job, man. I can't wait for the sequel. You know,
so Adrian, you might get your wish in part 2 there.
It might be a lot more games.
And that's what I'm saying, you know, the way that it, you know, ended, you know, it can definitely be a part 2. I mean, absolutely, you know, how it ended. So I would say, you know, I guess if there's, you know, the part 2 does come to fruition, you know, definitely I'd like to see more of that.
I think what I would like to know as the filmmaker, more than what you would like to see created in it, because that's opening a whole different kind of worms. Just based on what we have here, would be like whatever they give movie ratings. Like, is it like 2 thumbs up or 4 stars, 5 stars, whatever, however the rankings are. I don't know how movie systems rank, but maybe like if you guys could give me your opinion on a film and whether you would recommend it to a viewer, and how, you know, and the taste that it left in your mouth, as far as, you know, clearly you guys liked it. So, you know, maybe if you could rank it, like, I guess like 5 stars being the best, and, you know, how you felt about it, and that I think would be a good place for us to leave off on it, you know, and be cool with it like that, I think.
You want me to go ahead and start again?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead and start.
All right, cool. Well, recently I've been watching, all the mob movies again. And so when, this opportunity came to do one with you and watch your mob movie, I was like, oh, hell yeah, more videos to watch, because I've been watching so many, like I said, so the way that this was captured and how I can compare it to all the other ones, because they're all fresh in my head, I would say that it was very well structured like them, and just being a mob fan, a mafia fan, I really loved it. And, I'd recommend it to anybody, that watches any of our shows, because we all got some kind of mobster, content, you know what I mean? So if you guys would definitely love that, and for me, I definitely rate it a 5, 5 out of 5, because I've been watching all these shows and, the way that he captures, even the interactions with the family that he's in, the dinners, the guys smoking the cigars, and how they handled themselves and how they conducted business was just like, saying Goodfellas and Casino and everything like that. So yeah, I definitely would recommend this to anybody that, loves mafia content.
Thank you.
5-star system. What's your star rating?
5, definitely.
Scotty, my friend, what about you?
Well, if Ciro doesn't mind, I'd like to go back to that original question. The only thing that I like that I would like to see more of, Ciro, would be I love how you pulled me in with the flashback scene. I think the flashback was a great pull in. I think it laid out everything it needed to lay out at that point in time. But I would love to see more flashback scenes because that really engaged. I had to share that.
Let me touch on that real quick before you give your feeling and your star rating. That's going to be in part 2. We're going to have a parallel universe running here where we see how he got to where he's at and what he's at, or if he's anywhere other than just a guy that's out there earning, you know what I mean? Because none of you really know what he is, you know what I mean? He obviously he's somebody who gets his hands dirty, but we don't know what Mike White is in relative, fashion towards people, because, the things that go on obviously are, tricky business, right? Because you see this guy coming at him this way, this other guy he doesn't know how to trust, or whatever the case may be. So in the flashback sense, I love doing timepieces like Silent Partners. I think a couple of you guys have seen it. It's an 80s timepiece. So I love that kind of stuff. But in order to do that, you have to have the bread.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, so part 2, I'm pretty sure we're going to have the budget to do what we need to do based off the success of part 1. So you're going to see some more of that stuff. So yeah, I agree with you on that. And Paul Borghese and Dave Icovetti were in that flashback scene. Many of you might know the name Dave Icovetti. I know you guys, you do, Chip.
Absolutely.
And, so it's a lifelong family member of mine, and it was great to get him in there. And the young kid that plays Mike White, Hawk Mesenbeck, did it great. I believe you captured exactly the essence of who you would think as Mike White was as a young kid. So that was cool. So go ahead and finish, Scotty. Sorry for interrupting you.
No, you're good. And so I guess I'm pretty on point with given that little taste was set with a precedence to definitely, why I said what I said. So I guess that I was right on track with that. I'm going to give it 5 stars, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to give it 5 stars because numerous reasons. Number one is the fight scenes, like Wade was saying earlier. It's literally like you're watching 2 guys roll around right in front of you. These fight scenes are so realistic and not over the top, where to the point where it looks fake. I think you guys hit it right on the money. It was right in that happy medium. It wasn't too much. It wasn't not enough. It was just right where it needed to be. It was literally like you're watching, right, something unfold right in front of your eyes. That leads me to number 2, why I believe that it's a 5-star flick, is because that everything was unfolded. The chemistry, the storyline, the family relations between you, your wife, and your daughter, the interactions you have with other crime figures, just everything just flowed very naturally. And that's something you don't see often in films. It's very acted out and played out. I think the way that it just flowed naturally and the chemistry that was built in that hour and a half, it was just, it was top notch, I in my opinion. And, number 3 is I think that you brought a more modernized You know, a lot of people talk about mob movies. They want to talk about like Goodfellas, Casino, all that. That's already been done. That's you know, that's historic mob movies. You brought a new look to the modern mob movie industry that is a more modernized, futuristic version of what we can expect. And you know, you iconed it right off the start. It's a new modernized version of it, and I love what you did. I think you hit it right on the money, and I'd highly recommend it to anybody that wants to watch a new modernized version of a new mob series.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
William Steele, your opinion, sir?
Well, to say, you know, whether this gets 1 to 5 stars is a very complicated question here. But I tell you what, it follows Mike White in his first 90 days, he said, getting out of prison. So my show, Inmate to Roommate, follows me getting out of prison, living with a family I didn't know prior to going into prison. A lot different. You know, your story, your character tracks so perfectly what it is to be desirous of changing your life and seeing all you missed out on and being sucked back in. You captured it perfectly. I literally see this not only as a sequel, and thank you for letting us know you are planning something, but as needing a sequel, I also see it as potential. This could be like a gigantic pilot with a drama series behind it. It was really well done, and because I know your background and how far you've come, and you've changed your life completely. Like I said, I have nothing but respect for you. I give it definitely 5 stars. I'd recommend it to all my fans. Please support this man's work. And I can't wait till you give us permission to put the trailer up, because I'll put it across all my social.
You have permission to put the trailer. It's out now.
All right.
And hopefully I see you at the premiere, Bill.
I'll try to make it. I will do everything I can. I appreciate the invite. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Stacks, my man. What you
I give
think,
it a 5, man. It was a great film. It was really natural. All the acting, everyone did an incredible job, and you did an amazing job, Ciro. This being one of your first films, I think you were in a couple things before, right? Little things,
stuff that I made, yeah.
But this is like your first major role, and you did an incredible job.
Thank
and everyone else that worked on this film, Jokes, all of them guys, they did incredible, man. It was insane. The every aspect of it, the camera angles, the acting, the scenes, the everything, it all together just came together really good, man.
Excellent. Thank you, Bill.
Well, that was a perfect statement for kind of what I was going to go into, because, you know, like it or not, Cyril, when you're the lead of a movie, you know, the success of that movie largely hinges on you and your ability to resonate with your audience, make it believable. And, you know, like you said, you had done a few things that you had kind of created on your own, but you're in there with some heavyweights, man, some guys that's been acting for years, and you held your own. You've done a fantastic job. And, you know, it's not just that, it's everyone else as a unit. You know, a movie's got to function, you know, much like an organized crime. You know, everybody's got to do their part. Everybody's got to do things to keep the wheels turning, you know, from the lights to sound, to camera, to acting. You know, just because you're a good actor, you can be in a film that ain't really good. You know, we've all watched movies where it's had top-notch actors, but the film and the script was shit. And that's not the case with this. You know, mob movies, I think, automatically are held to that standard of, oh, well, it's no Goodfellas. But like what Adrian said, that's no more movies are going to be Goodfellas. Goodfellas was Goodfellas. You know, they might have told people when they were going to do Sopranos, oh, well, you're never going to be the Goodfellas. Well, they didn't want to be Goodfellas. They wanted to be the Sopranos, and that's what they were, and it became the best show on television. You weren't trying to emulate any of that. You were trying to be the mob king. You were the mob king, and that's what the world is fixing to see here real soon. And for that, you know, I give it 5 stars for sure. It's one of those movies that I would recommend to anybody to be able to watch it, because you get a taste of everything. You get your mob life, you get your family unit, you know, and you guys do a lot of stuff in this movie as a family that most people probably won't ever do in their lifetime. I'll put it out like that. So there's a lot of elements that are in there, and you've got all the specific ones in there, and they're very well placed throughout the movie. That doesn't make this any point in time where you don't, like we said earlier, you don't want to leave the room. You want to keep your eyes on it. So 5 stars from me.
Thank you. I want to touch on a couple of things. I appreciate all of you guys giving me the honest opinions. It really was. You had the butterflies the whole week because I didn't know what you guys were going to come back with. Because you never know until people actually see it. You know what I mean? So it really feels good that you guys, to feel the way that you feel and the way the film touched you. I do want to say that one of the things that when I started doing this stuff is that, we see so many times a film try to copy a formula of something, the same guys, saying the same lines over and over again, basically in essence, bitch better have my money type stuff, and I definitely did not want to do that, because what I do know when you're trying to get somewhere on the highest level of filmmaking is that the first question that I'm always asked is, what else is it like? Because if you automatically come back, and it's a trick question, because if you say it's like this or it's like that, they're not going to want to hear it. So my response has always been, it's like nothing you've seen before, Right. And they'll be like, well, what's different about it? I'm like, well, you have to watch it, you have to see, because the family that kills together stays together, right?
Correct.
I haven't ever seen a movie that does that.
No.
I have a suggestion for your title of your next movie. If I can, no, the mob, because the family unit, and your wife was really standing in there through all of it. Some serious stuff. The mob, king and queen, and the illusion there.
Got a whole nother spinoff series right there.
Oh shit!
What I will tell you,
I don't know if I can do that.
What I will tell you is that the second part, we already know what's going to happen in the sequel, and it's going to be a whole lot more of the action stuff of how the life goes, because you hear the casino being mentioned, the Indian casinos. So your storyline is basically Mike White, the Indian casinos, the Everglades. You can put all of that together, with the Miccosukis and the Seminole Indians. Nobody's ever done that before in a mob flick, that I'm aware of anyway. And it'll be more along those lines. So I do want to point out and get you guys' opinions on something that I feel as the filmmaker is some exceptional performances. One of them by Michael Villar, who, in my opinion, I knew how difficult this part was going to be, because this guy's character comes across the way you want it to in the beginning as this fun-loving, joyous guy, and then the transition had to be perfect in order for you to believe not only what happens to him, but be applauding the fact that it happened to him, so you guys have seen his acting in that, and I think it's phenomenal. Another person that I would like to bring up is Anthony Caliendo's performance. He plays Enzo, and of course you guys already talked on Bruce Socha's, and the family dynamic, the girls in the film, that goes without saying, they were flawless. But Anthony Caliendo's performance, he's never acted before anywhere. He's known as the main man. He's a big businessman. He has the 1-800 Big Cheese. He's a cheese king. He's the mortgage king. He's the business broker king. I mean, everything this guy touches, he becomes great. At what he does business wise. So when he threw his hat in the ring with the movie, he's obviously saying, I think I can do it as an actor. He has a great look. I mean, you got to admit, the guy's got a great look, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, the look is good, but people always, fool themselves thinking when they say, hey, can you put me in the movie? I can look the part of this, or I can look the part of that. But when you yell action, it doesn't matter what you look like, because so many times I've seen people just lose it, freeze up, don't know how to do nothing or whatever. And when you're working with low budgets, you need people who can perform. You don't have all day for somebody to get, 5 lines right. And to me, his performance is the greatest one, because he hasn't done anything on film other than commercials or whatever the case may be. So we kept expanding the role for him. And that's why the ending, when I told you I rewrote the ending 3/4 of the way film, I rewrote the ending mainly based because of how his performance was. So I basically changed the whole trajectory of the film because of his performance, which I think is really a cool aspect of this movie. You know what I mean? So what are your guys' thoughts on Caliendo's role and Mike Villar particularly? Everybody agreed Bruce crushed his part, and the family, the women, and everybody in general crushed their parts. But to me, the standout performances were Mike Villar, Enzo, and Bruce Sosha. So what do you guys think about the other two that I mentioned?
Well, if you don't mind, I'll start that off. And I shared this with you guys before I got on. It'll even be another kind of a third party look at this too. Michael Villar's character and his transition, what he does, what you finally realize he is, and then what happens to him at the end. My wife does not watch, really violent films, but she watched this film with me because she knows Ciro's story and she's heard the podcast that him and I have done together. And I told her what we were doing for this, so she watched it. And when it got to that scene, like I looked over there, and she was, you basically you have the audience cheering on something that at the end of the day is a real heinous act, but I think deservedly so. And she was cheering it on, and that's unusual for her to do something like that and to get so invested in a movie like that. So it got her role or her vote for good way you handled that situation. We'll leave it at that.
She doesn't like violence.
She's not too much. I mean, she'll do it every once in a while. She's more of a Hallmark gal. So I have my own separate room when I watch movies. It's by myself because a lot of what I watch she don't watch. but she was on board with that though.
This movie has its fair share of violence, but what about the performance aspect of it? For Anthony Caliendo.
Anthony knocked it out the park, man. I mean, he played his role. He didn't overstep his role, but he played it perfect. And it was like, again, we've said it time and time again throughout this interview. You found that sweet spot, because especially coming from somebody, look, you might get lucky and get an actor that's just natural, that they can do whatever you ask. But at the same time, like you said, on a big budget, you've got time to work with people. You've got time to coach people, send them to acting classes or, whatever. You don't have time to do this. So you didn't give him too much to where he got overwhelmed, but you gave him just enough to where he became an impact player and, pretty much your right hand there. And I mean, I thought he done phenomenal.
Yeah, you got seasoned actors with someone who never acted before. And the performance was incredible. Remember, me and you were talking about my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah.
And incredible, man. I can't wait until other people see the movie and then I could see their reaction. Because I know it's going to be just like mine and just like these guys' reactions. It was that good.
Do you guys know who I'm speaking about? The character Enzo, William, and Scott and Adrian? The Enzo character? Yes.
Yep. The older guy.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
What were your thoughts on his performance?
I thought he did really good. And, William, or not William, Chip was saying too, how it ended at the end, I guess it was kind of, you didn't know, obviously you didn't know it was coming, but, like he said, people were kind of cheering it on, as the audience, we would be thinking like, oh, come on, something's got to happen, so I thought that was a really good way of doing that. And, he did good for like you said, for not being an actor in the right. Am I right when I say that? He, like you said, he hasn't done a lot of acting before.
First time.
So, okay.
It's a very feel good aspect of the film. I think, that here's a guy that, he's all about making money, right? That's what he does in business. And he wants to make money with the film. That's the number one thing. But for him to say, oh, you can give me a small part, and then for it to balloon into what it ballooned to is just a great spin on the story. What do you guys think?
He definitely has a future in acting, man.
I think so. What did you think, Scott and William?
I thought personally, I thought he did a very good job. I thought his dialogue was spot on. I thought he the way he carried himself with his posture. He kind of reminded me of like I don't know if you guys are familiar with Vinny Vella in like Casino. It wasn't a large role, but he was a key player in that movie. And I think that he really he brought a good fit. He was like the 8th slice of the pizza to make the whole pie. You know what I mean?
Good reference.
Now that's spot on with that Vinny Vella too, and I agree with that 100%, Scott.
What do you say, Big Bill?
Talking about William. Yes,
William.
I think he was phenomenal. Everybody you picked was phenomenal. Some of them, of course, I've been locked up 18 years, so I don't know them. Just got back from Boca where we were filming our stuff for my thing in Boca and Palm Beach, and I would have loved to run into you when I was down there, but you definitely picked him spot on. He played a phenomenal role. I didn't realize he didn't have any acting experience. because he definitely pulled it off, and you should use him again and again. So stick with your players, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, guys,
we'll make sure in part 2 that we get all you guys in there somewhere. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe Adrian gets whacked by Scotty down there, and Bill and William and Hollywood Wade help get rid of the body. We'll find
Yeah.
something.
There you
That'd be
go.
awesome.
Where are the shovels?
Okay,
We should.
so I just want to say I really appreciate it, man. I'm gonna probably do a little dance when I get off of here with you guys, because I'm really, like I said, I sweated for a whole week on whether or not this was gonna, things can blow up on you, if it's not good, because you could have heard a lot of things that weren't right. So the fact that it did makes me really happy. I really bolster my confidence going into the film festival, and I truly appreciate the time that it took to do it, and the fact that you guys don't really know me from Adam, except for we're Facebook people or whatever the case may be. And I truly appreciate the honest opinions and taking the time to do it, and I'm very thankful to all of you. So if you guys want to say your parting things, I just wanted to say
Thank you for the opportunity, man. I appreciate you. And it was an awesome film. And thank you guys, man. All of you.
Awesome.
Ciro, I just want to say I have nothing but respect for you and your transformed life from your past. And this is all about all of us redeeming our lives and trying to do something better with our past and our experiences to help people, man. Keep up the good work.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Love the rebound, Ciro. You're an inspiration to us all. Me and you talk time to time offset. Just very inspiring, man. Just keep grinding, keep hustling. And, it's true what they say, if you work hard at anything and you follow your dream good enough, you're, a prime example of, keep following your dream and don't give up.
That's right.
The only, like I always say, the only time success comes before work is in the dictionary. You prove that time after time.
Thank you.
Ciro, I do appreciate you letting me be a part of this as well. This is my first time kind of doing anything like this. So, thank you for that. And I also wanted to say, keep doing what you're doing, man. William said it the best, you really changed your life around. That's what my whole show is kind of based around, and I really love to hear the redemption, man. You're doing good things, and you're definitely living proof that anybody can change around and invest in themselves. So thanks for letting me be a part of this, man.
There you go.
Absolutely. I second that. I mean, obviously, a lot of us know your story, what you've come from, what you're able to accomplish. And, we spoke about movies like Goodfellas and The Sopranos. There was a scene in Sopranos, I think it was towards the end of the season, when Christopher actually made a movie. Now, his movie, unlike yours, was not very good. It was The Cleaver, I think was the name of it. But Tony pulled him to the side and he says, look, he's like, what you've done here is monumental. He said, when we're dead and gone, this is still going to be around. And what you did is you've left something, as part of your legacy. And you've already said you've got, possible part 2 in the works. You've got, Silent Partners. I think you got another little thing you're working on too. So you've got quite a stuff already, lined up. But this is the first building block of your legacy, man. And I think you're going to leave a great one. And we spoke in our interview, it's what you can do to make up for the time that you were gone, and you're doing it better than I could ever imagine. And just keep up at it, man. You're doing a fantastic job, and I'll leave you with those words. This is something that nobody can ever take away from you. This is going to be part of history, and it'll be here a long time after everyone on this panel is long gone.
Damn right. I appreciate all of you, man. Thank you.
I think a good way to end it, we could play the trailer again. What do you guys think?
Sounds good.
All right, gentlemen, have a good night, everybody. Thank you. Let's see this trailer. Trailer's beautiful, by the way.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
Very well polished.
I appreciate you all.
You made an oath. You know what that means.
Mike does his time, stays loyal, and all those years away from his family. Laid on the sword to protect the bank for what? So that when we need real protection, it's all blank stares?
All we got right now is us.
Are we on our own?
Why won't you die?
There's a very powerful man out there who thinks he's a threat and would do anything to get rid of him.
The old dons would never let a violation like this go unpunished.
You didn't break the rules, Mike. He did.
You really think he's gonna keep looking for you after this? I mean, think about it. If you're done and gone, then you're not a threat anymore, so what's the point?
We live by it. We work by it. Not anything or anyone can break it.
The casino was never yours to begin with. Get that into your head.
This shit just went from bad to worse.